everyone. This is Out of the Box Podcast. I'm your host, Jim Andre. I'm here with my co host, Bradley Powers. And tonight we have special guest, Rivir Phoenix. How's everybody doing tonight?
Hey, I'm good. How are you both?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Hope everybody else out there is good as well.
Yeah.
Okay, Phoenix, I guess we can start out by, telling the viewers a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Hi, welcome everybody. It's so nice to be here. I'm humbled that Jim and Bradley have asked me to come on the show. This is the first podcast that I've done. I do have a YouTube channel. I've had two. I had one for a couple of years, and in the summer it took off massively and I found it quite overwhelming and I took it down. I've recently started another one. So if you've seen me before, it will be on YouTube. Okay. My name is Rivir Phoenix. My name was given to me by the divine creator, and my name means to open the light. I am a fully embodied organic star human, as we all are, or should be, which means that I have a fully activated DNA blueprint, which is 100% of my DNA. Most humans are running off 1.5, and we're considered to have 98.5% junk, which is rubbish. We're all supposed to be 100% activated. I have access to the original intelligence on the Lemurian crystals and all of the 144 emerald tablets. The information on the emerald tablets and the Lemurian crystals are downloaded to me in stages. I have a genetic equal. I am in a divine union with my counterpart, not a twin flame. There's a lot of misconception about twin flames going out there. And we are quantumly entangled. We are a vibrational frequency match. Together, we are here to uphold the law of one, and to help assist the planet and humanity enter into the golden aeon and to bring forth the laws and truth of our existence and the limitless capabilities of the human race. We specialize in electromagnetic fields, bioregenesis, quantum healing, and Stargate grid alignment to its original format. We are here to help bring forward information on the negative alien agenda, child trafficking, satanic rituals that have been carried out by the NAA and its minions. I have a direct connection to the lost civilization known as Mue River, which is otherwise known as Mue or Lemurians. I can speak the original light language known as the Anunnaki language and will help to awaken all that wish to follow truth and light. Okay. And tonight I would love to speak about the Matrix, what it is, and its fall, if that's okay with everybody.
Yeah, that's fine. Or whatever you feel comfortable with. Now, you mentioned that your YouTube channel had become overwhelming. In what way did it overwhelm you?
Okay, if I can give you a little backstory, that 3.5 years ago, I wasn't this way. I had been an athlete all of my life, and I'd come from no spiritual or religious background, no scientific, no philosophy. We lived in a very poor area at the very bottom of the ladder. And 3 years ago, I recall on the 8th of August 2020, when I woke up in the morning, I could just see dimensions of space that weren't there before. I mean, quite literally, the 3D reality that I was living in had changed. So I felt very still and very quiet, very calm, very floaty. And then I'm starting to get visitations by angelics, by aliens, by other ascended masters. And I was getting visions of global events. I was getting almost like puzzle pieces and like a jigsaw piece. And I'm kind of writing it down and putting together a bigger picture, which were occurring globally, like the Ukrainian war, the start date of that, and big things that were really happening. And I'm like, whoa, I need to start videoing this stuff and putting it on YouTube, because something's really happening to me. And being very sound of mind, and I have a very clean body. You know, I trained as an athlete, so I have a water intake. I don't drink alcohol. I don't smoke. I eat clean food, not on medication. So being sound and rational mind, I knew that I was going through some kind of shift, and this has been a fast track almost. So when I started doing the YouTube channel, it was very slow to start with. And in June of last year, I'd had maybe 800 views over 2 years. And I have uploaded a video to Jim, and this happened on the Schumann resonance.
Now that's what you'd like to show, right?
Yes, please. So that's a Schumann resonance is an electrical magnetic field around the planet, and I seem to be tapping into it and predicting almost things that are happening on the Schumann resonance with blackouts or power spikes or this kind of stuff. So overnight, I went from having 800 views to 20,000, and I'm sat looking at the YouTube, and the numbers are just going up and up and up and up and up. And I'm like, whoa, this is a bit freaky. I'm feeling very overwhelmed with the amount of attention that this is bringing. I don't feel that I'm ready to do this. So I cancelled the channel. And yeah, it's been bothering me ever since, because there is information that I'm being directly given from source itself. And I don't know any other way to describe it as an it or a source, because it's undescribable as a no thing. And I feel that the information I have to share is really valid, that humanity are being lied to. Even with our DNA, we shouldn't have a double helix. It should be a triple helix. And the world needs to know the capability of our biosuit and what it can actually do. And one of the main things is cure disease for free. Okay, so that would put an end to, you know, pharmaceuticals and that kind of stuff. So I decided to start the channel again and bring forward information that the world has a right to know. It is our divine birthright to know this information. And these negative alien regressives have been keeping it from us for the duration that humanity has been here. So I hope to do that. And I'm grateful to come on here and be able to share this information, and anybody that listens, that, you know, take what resonates and what doesn't, wake up. So
well, it's a pleasure to have you with us. Now this is a frequency graph here, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So it doesn't normally look like this. This happened on the 5th of January this year. Now, normally that graph that you're seeing now would look more like the planet Earth, you know, sort of blue with bits of green, but not in bars. It doesn't show this normally. So I noticed this anomaly started on the 27th of December. Now you can see that graph that I've shown you there is in perfect symmetry. It's absolutely straight edge lines in symmetry, which is showing that there is an alignment. So that from the 22nd until the 5th, it kind of went like that, but it looked more like a voice recording. I thought, that's different. And I've been checking the Schumann resonance now for about 1.5 years, and I hadn't seen anything like that. And then as of the 5th, you can see there we've got these perfect symmetrical lines, which is an alignment, because this second frequency net around the planet that had been placed there by the negative alien regressives is falling. So this was for about 19 hours. And the Schumann resonance disclosed that this was just a glitch, that it was actually a blackout. And instead of showing a blackout screen, which normally the screen would go black, this is going to be the screen. And I'm like, are you really thinking we're going to buy into this? This is something very different. They're trying to cover up that what's actually happening is that the matrix is falling, in a nutshell. Okay, so that is the second frequency net that is falling. There is another image that I'd sent you, Jim, that looks like this. Yeah, that's it. So I've sort of put them both next to each other. So the one to the left is what's happened over the last couple of days. The one to the right is the frequency net that fell on June 17th, 2023. And again, that lasted for about 4 days, and then they blacked it out and said it was a malfunction. I don't think so.
No.
So what this means for humanity is that the electrical magnetic field around the planet, known as the Schumann resonance, it vibrates just like we do. We know that our cells vibrate and oscillate. And the powers that should not be know that they can cure disease, 99.9% of all diseases, with vibration, which means no chemotherapy, no radiotherapy, no invasive treatments, no medication, healing for free. So when the planet raises her vibration, the ley lines change their frequency, and they send a signal out into the Schumann resonance, which is the electrical magnetic field around the planet, so that when the Schumann resonance vibrates higher, because it's directly connected to human brainwaves, it changes the vibration of the human oscillation of our cell, which means the cells don't get disease, they don't degenerate. You're supposed to live a very, very long time, hundreds of years, if not thousands. It's the program that we've been running off, this negative alien regressive program, is designed to keep us in a sleep status and to keep us in a reincarnation cycle for however long they wanted to do it. But their ulterior motives was not humanity. They wanted the planet, and they were planning to terraform and to create a pole shift in 2025 that would set off a string of volcanic eruptions on the ring of fire that would annihilate and completely terraform the planet and wipe humanity out. But because these frequency nets have fallen and the vibration is higher, which is love, and I know that sounds very woo-woo and spiritual, but love is the highest vibration. It's actually creating a shield around the planet to deflect these negative frequencies that have been just demoralizing us and debauching us for eons. So
I do have a question though.
yes.
If we were to live hundreds of thousands of years, wouldn't overpopulation eventually become a problem?
No, because the way the planet is overpopulated now is because we've had negative breeding patterns implanted into us. Sexual breeding program, I think it's called, where we're just going out and banging kids out here, there, and everywhere. That stops. That's a sexual misery program designed by the negative alien regressives. So there will be a depopulation eventually, and not because the planet can't sustain 8 billion people, because the planet can actually sustain a lot more than that. But this sexual breeding, this sexual misery wouldn't occur. So it's you have that fulfillment within yourself and feel complete within yourself, that actually you don't go out and have children the way that we've been programmed to have them right now. So it would eradicate that. It's something that I can take.
But every species has that desire to procreate. I mean that's something that's natural. That's a natural desire amongst all species.
Yes, absolutely. The thing is, when we go through this transformation, we don't die the way that we generally are taught that we die. So, you die, you bury, or you cremate. That doesn't happen. You're supposed to have an emanation body. So you choose when you want to die. You choose when you want to leave the planet. And you actually dissolve to dust. And I know that sounds really far out there, but this is actually what's supposed to happen. If you've ever seen Mr. Megorium's Wonder Emporium, Mr. Megorium in it lives to like 200 and something. Now, he hasn't got children. He doesn't have children. You feel a fulfillment without the need to breed. Okay, I'm not saying that there are certain people that do, but there isn't that need to keep repopulating the way we have been doing. That's a breeding program that has been designed by this NAA. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there is a natural breeding program amongst all species. I mean, that's just something that's natural. Did you want to show another graph here?
Yes, I did actually, and I don't know how well you'll be able to see it on there, but these this graph, the one to the left with the barcodes that looks like a barcode, they were just saying that this is a blackout, but I don't know how well you can zoom in on there where I've circled, but there's actually faces in it. There is images in those pictures that I've sent. So where I've circled there, if you was to zoom in, I don't know if you can do that, Jim.
No, I don't have a way to do
Okay.
that.
Okay, if anybody wants to take a screenshot, is that okay? And then they can have a look for themselves. Yeah, if anybody wants to take a screenshot where I've circled there, and zoom in on it, you'll actually see there's faces in there. And there's another image that I've sent you where I've circled 3. And if anybody takes a screenshot of that one also, there's 3 faces in that one. And that's what we found with this image, was that there were images in it of human-like faces. So this is definitely not a blackout. There is something that is definitely trying to communicate with us, that is benevolent, not malevolent, and which is why we're getting this alignment, with these straight lines. But there is another image that I've sent. I think it was the last one I sent you, Jim, and I've ringed. There's 3 on there. So if you can go on to that. Yeah, if anybody wants to take a screenshot of that now, you'll see where I've circled to the right, that looks like a man's face, and then the one in the center and the one to the left of it are feminine faces. And so what I'm getting from that, or what I'm being shown, is that the way the population has been, or the way this negative alien program has been run, is that it's very male dominant. We were missing a 2 female core element to a trinity, which you would call your holy trinity. It's not actually about a holy trinity with God. It's really about activating a triple helix, which is 2 feminine and a masculine energy. And this image here, so if anyone takes a screenshot of it now and then zooms in, and if anybody wants to comment or what they think they can see in there, but there's definitely a masculine face and 2 feminines. And I just had to kind of adjust the highlight on it to pick it up, because I could see it without it, but I was trying to make it more visible. And as I said, I haven't got this fancy technology, so I did my best with it. But definitely something in there.
We have a comment here, Midnight Rider. The humans have been enslaved by the reptilian beings, the Dracos, for a very long time. They severely adjusted the telomeres on the end of the chromosomes, which greatly limits our length of life.
Yes. Hello, Midnight Rider. Hi. Yes, you're exactly right. So we've had implants installed into our DNA at the time of conception. And these implants, when our cell is dividing, every time they divide, the telomeres at the end of the chromosome. So the telomeres, if you imagine a shoelace, okay, you've got those little plastic things on the end of your shoelace. Imagine that's your telomere. So every time your cell divides with these implants by the negative alien regressives, the telomere gets shorter. So it's like that little plasticky thing at the end of your shoelace gets shorter and shorter and shorter till eventually it's non-existent, and then it frays. And that's what damages the chromosomes. And that's when you end up with disease and you die prematurely, because what should happen is that the cell can divide infinitely without causing any damage to the telomeres at all, which doesn't cause any damage to the chromosomes. So you live indefinitely. And so thank you for that question. That was very good. Thank you.
Midnight
People
Rider,
out there, people get it, don't they? They know.
Midnight Rider also goes on to say the overpopulation notion is a monumentally perpetuated lie. The reptilians are doing their utmost to keep the human population at a controllable level. Yeah, that's true, and I agree with that. But if we were to turn around and be able to exist for hundreds of thousands of years individually, and the population was increasing the way it does today, I mean, eventually it would lead to overpopulation. We often debate the laws of God, the laws of man, while overlooking what I think is the most important laws of all, and that's the laws of nature itself.
Yes, absolutely. Um, when we go through these transformations, as I said, there are people here who will continue to repopulate, but the way we repopulate right now is like rabbits. That is a sexual breeding program designed by the NNA, and that will.
That's but that's my point exactly. Now you mentioned rabbits. For the rabbits, that's natural, right?
Yes.
So just because we're men and we're able to think at a higher level than a rabbit, we think that we're different and we're not as natural as a rabbit is.
Yeah, but we're not rabbits.
Well,
And
yeah, but I'm talking about. See, that's what my opinion is. Nature rules. So if a rabbit can breed that way, that's because nature allows for that.
Yes, but we weren't supposed to breed the way we are doing now. That is a program. Yes, we do breed, but not the way we have been conditioned to breed. It will change, and it will change over the course of the next 100 years, 200 years, that we don't, because we aren't rabbits, and we do think, but think is an intellect. And we actually will start overriding intellect with intelligence. And our intelligence is very different to intellect in the way we think we should be.
We're not rabbits, but we're not any better than the rabbits.
Why?
As a matter of fact, I have more respect for animals than I do for some human beings.
Yeah, well, so do I. But yeah, we aren't rabbits. Our breeding program is how do I say?
I believe it's nature.
A sexual trap.
Yeah, but I believe it's nature though, because I mean, you're not guaranteed to have a child even though you have sex.
No, this is right, and that's what I'm saying. That not everybody will reproduce, and they don't reproduce because they've chosen not to, and they don't feel any less fulfilled because they haven't had a child. Whereas a lot of people, I'm not saying everybody, because there are, those that don't follow this, but most people are going out and having children. And there's a real problem right now with teens going out. And, by the age of 20, some have got 3 or 4 children. I mean, that's a breeding program, and that won't happen.
The problem with children today is all by design, by society itself. Years ago, if I did something wrong, my dad take me out back in the shed and whoop me. Today, you can't do that. You can't do that today, see? Because the kids will say, you put a hand on me, I'll call Child and Family Services, and they'll protect the kid, right? So you can't have control over your kids like you used to at one time.
No.
And that's all by design. That's all by
design.
Can
I ask that the generation gap between the three of us here is different? So if you think back to when you were younger, Jim, and how we were breeding, if you like, when you were a teenager at 16 and 18.
That was
and it wasn't all that long ago, Jim, so come on.
That was the Woodstock era. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Okay, but it's, I've noticed that certainly from when I was a teenager, and how, some of my school friends, like I said, I was in a poor area. So some of my school friends were pregnant at 15. And, by the time they were 21, they'd had 5 children, whereas in my parents' era, they were only having 2 children. So the breeding programs got worse with the teenagers as we're going through time. So I don't know what that was like when you were a teenager, Bradley.
Well, how about China with billions?
Yeah.
Right.
What, one person's having billions?
Midnight Rider says, I agree with your perception about nature rules, Mr. Andre. And that's my point. Nature does rule. No matter what's here to play the game, no matter what's here to play the game, whether it's alien, reptilian, human, or animal, or any other species in existence. Nature rules.
Yes,
Nothing
but
nothing is above nature itself.
what is our nature though? Because we don't know, because we've been suppressed from what our real
Well,
nature is for so long. How do we know what our real nature is?
Well, that's because we think we're intelligent. We're so intelligent, we don't know anything.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, that's intellect, isn't it?
Now, if we were truly intelligent, this would be a much better world to be living in, would it not?
Absolutely, yes. And then that would be paradise, and
that tells me that man possesses an intelligence which is somewhat flawed.
Why is it flawed? And I'm only asking as a
because I don't know. Like I said, nature rules. I don't know if nature wants it that way, even though we know better. In other words, we're a species capable of saving lives with one hand while destroying lives with the other. Now, what sense does that make? We have no one to fear but ourselves, and no one to compete against but ourselves. For example, now, a cow grazing in a field is more than likely satisfied by doing just that, grazing in a field. But man, due to his higher level of intelligence, will never truly be satisfied until he self-annihilates. So our intelligence is our downfall. It's a curse.
Yeah, I don't believe that, because the level of intelligence that maybe you're referring to is not really intelligence at all. Because
how do you level intelligence?
In this world right now, it's actually very difficult.
Let's put it this way. Man always tries to outsmart nature, and he never will. Nature will always overrule. Okay. Man has got this attitude that the earth belongs to him, when in reality, man belongs to the earth.
Oh, absolutely. Or I see that actually the two coincide together. And what I was shown was everybody here is a source creator. And that when we were all in etheric form, and I'm talking about every human on the planet, regardless of whether they're awake or asleep, it doesn't matter. In etheric form, everybody was a creator, the creator, and created this planet to live on. And the planet is, I can hear her and she speaks to me, and she's confused as to why we are causing destruction on her when we were the ones that actually created her to be able to come and live here on a paradise, which it is. And anybody thinks that we're not living on a paradise is, blindsided. You've only got to look up in the sky and feel the grass under your feet and breathe the air and look at your neighbor with an open heart and know that, we're truly in a paradise. And the planet, the Pachamama, she can't understand why we've been damaging her when us as a collective consciousness created her to live on, to experience each other and to feel, because you can't do.
By you saying that, you're stating that we created nature.
Yes, because we are the gods, we are the creator, and this is the biggest lie that, that religion and indoctrination say, honor this god or honor that god. No, we are the god, every single one of us, and that's not a bold statement to make.
The extent of God is an energy, a source, an essence that moves.
Yes, and we are that energy. Yes, and we are it, and we created ourselves to experience ourselves. Which sounds like such a cliche that, God in a non-physical or a no thing created a something. We are the no thing that created ourselves.
There's a universal energy that's experiencing itself in a gazillion different ways all at one time.
Yes,
and we wonder why there's chaos.
Yeah, this is a chaos room, isn't it, that we live in?
Yeah, and it shouldn't be, should it? Really, it's chaos because there has been interference And I don't have the answer to that, and it is something that I've looked at as to
But
why
chaos is
exactly there
but
is.
chaos. See, that's going back to nature again. Chaos is natural. You have natural chaos within nature itself, whether it be in the form of natural disasters, tornadoes, earthquakes, tsunamis. Now, if a tsunami wipes out 250,000 people at one time, do you think the universal consciousness feels guilty about that?
Well, I hope so.
Well, why would it? It's just a natural occurrence. It's the way this realm is. See, and
But
we
it
want
knows what it's doing.
one law of nature is there's nothing perfect, and that's what we're seeking is perfection, and we'll never find it. Life is a journey to be experienced, not a problem to be solved.
What do you think, Bradley? You're very quiet.
A lot of what you say, actually, River. I do, to be honest with you. I know I'm being quiet, but I do. It's early in the morning.
I know.
My brain is not switched on tonight, is it? But like, I support a lot of what you say. I enjoy listening to what your theories and like your thoughts and yeah, a lot of what you're saying, I believe. Yeah, and like, you know, Jim's got good points as well. But like, I am an ambassador for mankind, and I think like I embrace mankind as well. I think the purpose of life is to seek ascension, and that will benefit you in the next life as well. And I think the way to seek ascension is if you help all those in need, if you help others without expecting a reward, then you will seek ascension. You know, but if
Yeah.
you help others,
Personal ascension is what's important, because for us to ascend as a collective, it'll never happen.
yeah.
Well,
So
I
you have to
differ.
ascend. You have to.
I feel that the entire cosmos is going through an ascension right now, and there are multiple cosmoses that lead from, which all have a harmonic residue about them that we all are a part of, and that this mass awakening, this great awakening, this golden era or the golden aeon that people are talking about who are in the spiritual community, we are going to find peace. That there is this change now where we do see perfection in each other. It doesn't necessarily mean that we have to be a perfect being. What I'm saying is that we see perfection in each other, that we see each other as being a temple, that we see the tree and the gatepost and the path and, you know, the bird, everything, and we observe that, and we respect and can acknowledge that we are part of that, and that is part of us, and that is part of being in a unified state that allows for ascension to occur. But ascension is actually not, I don't like the word being enlightened. You know, it's these gurus that are going around saying they're enlightened.
That could be so on a personal level, but never as a collective. Never.
Yeah, I disagree.
You know, historically, every great society that has risen has fallen. Okay. And our current day society is not going to be any different. The only difference is going to be is in how it falls and with what intensity. And the only way to get a reset is to have a lot of sacrifice involved. And
Yes,
historically, that's happened without fail, and it's going to happen again.
Yes, do you think so? I don't see that happening. I see that we've really reached a turning point, that there are many of us now that have ascended, if that's the word you choose to use,
you know,
that have changed the vibration, and this vibrational change.
Years ago, if people weren't happy with the establishment, they had a kingdom to overthrow. They had a target. Today, we're up against not only an invisible enemy, but an enemy that's spread worldwide.
That's going to fall.
Good luck with that.
Do you not see that system will collapse, and that it will collapse in our lifetimes?
The whole system's going to collapse. That's where the reset's going to take place. But like I said, it's not going to be without great sacrifice.
Yes. Well, I think that enough people have been sacrificed, and that those children that are in tunnels underground are sacrificed enough, and that those of us that are on the path of the law of one will not be sacrificed any longer, and that those that will fall are those that have committed these heinous crimes to the planet, to each other, to the children that are locked in cages, that have never seen the sunlight, they don't even know exists, that are being fed to reptilians
Well,
underground.
one of the biggest illusions there ever was is the concept of religion itself.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Do you
Yes.
know that Mother Teresa was a child trafficker?
Yes, I know we were talking about this the other night, and it deeply upset me after we came off our video call.
So in other words, the Catholic religion, the Catholic faith, they practice evil under the guise of good.
Yes. Well, they're still doing it.
Right, exactly.
They're still doing it, yes. And these will be the people that will fall, and that we will witness this in our lifetime. And I have to believe that wholeheartedly, because if I don't, then I'm falling into fear and into their false matrix system. And I won't do that. So I will sit here with an open heart, and I have to believe that these systems will come crashing down. I mean, we're seeing already that, with this list that's been announced recently, you know which list I'm talking about, don't you? About child trafficking, the Epstein list.
I was just looking at this comment here.
Sorry, yes, go on.
Midnight Rider says, hate to be bearer of bad news, but there have already been several civilization resets that have taken place and been intensely hidden from humanity. Oh, I believe that without a doubt. Yeah.
Yes, I do as well. Yeah, absolutely. That's absolutely right. And this is the last reset that we get. And let's hope that Source Creator really does know what it's doing.
It'll be the last reset that we experience.
Yes. Well, maybe some of us are at such a stage that our telomeres don't shorten, and I might just get to see it to the end. So here's hoping.
Now, what was the question? What was the question you were asking me before?
Sorry, if I could just go back onto about the civilization reset. I mean, we've had several of those with the Atlantean cataclysm, and at that time, was that like 50,000 years ago, or I can't recall now, but there was an Atlantean cataclysm, which was a reset, and there was this war between, not specifically between the Lemurians and the Atlanteans, but the Lemurians had brought technology here in the form of crystals that contained intelligence. And we know that, from our phones and the technology we use today, that, you can store immense amount of information on quartz crystals, on tiny, tiny little pieces. You can actually store infinitely more information on water than quartz crystal. But the Atlanteans were misusing this technology for greed, just like what the world is doing today. And the Lemurians, so many of them, had agreed to, embed these crystals into the Earth's crust until such time that it could actually be used for the reset, for the final reset that would bring peace. And I know that I've been, as I said, 3 years ago, I knew none of this. I couldn't even tell you what a chakra was. So I have to believe in the information that I'm being shown, that these crystals are awakening. These crystals were moved. There's one in Ireland and 8 surrounding the UK. And those 9 crystals are sending signals to those of us that have, that sounds really corny, but have actually activated their higher heart center. Now, your higher heart center is your thymus complex, and it contains its own set of neurons that picks up the intelligence from these crystals. So again, I have to believe that this reset that's happening now, and this fall of the cabal and the deep state and the negative alien regressives and these shields being put around the planet, is because peace is going to arrive and stay.
Well, after every great reset, there's been peace until it needs resetting again.
Yeah. I don't think it
Do you
will need
believe
to
in
after that.
do you believe in depopulation, River? Well, by 2030 agenda.
I believe that there is an agenda by the powers that should not be to depopulate. In fact, one chap stood on stage and he announced that the healthcare that he was promoting, so I'm sure you know who I'm talking about, was here to save lives, but by the year, say it could be 2030, the population would be down to 3 billion. I thought, well, you've just said that your medicine's here to save lives. So if you're saving lives, how have you depopulated us by 5 billion?
Yeah, the vaccine, I think, is a form of depopulation.
Yeah. You know, so I believe that is an agenda by, again, the powers that should not be. And the planet can sustain 7.5 billion people, you know. Absolutely. This whole thing with global warming is also rubbish, just to put us into a state of fear. But, you know, we all went back to basics and we stopped eating like pigs, used our land for farming instead of parking our cars on it. You know, we can all sustain ourselves. And the thing is, when you go through an ascension, if that's the word you want to use, you actually change your molecular structure of your biosuit, and your cells go into a state of what's called chemiosynthesis, which is very similar to photosynthesis, where a plant would get its fuel source from light and water. But chemiosynthesis is where your cells would get its nutrients, your fuel source, from just water, which means that we don't actually have to eat as much, and then the planet becomes a lot more sustainable. You know, half of the animals that are bred on the planet are used to feed, or half of the vegetation that's grown on the planet is used to feed the livestock, to feed us. And I'm not saying anybody should go out there and not eat meat, because I'm actually a meat eater, but you know that we don't need to be eating and consuming the amount of food that we are doing. And when you naturally do shift into an organic blueprint, which is we should have a triple helix and 6 nucleotides, not a double helix with 4 nucleotides. When you shift to that, you go into a state of chemiosynthesis where you don't actually need to eat nowhere near as much. I mean, it's like that. It's like the Twilight film. Has anybody ever watched the Twilight film? The vampires, the Cullens, aren't actually vampires. They're portraying beings that are enlightened. You know, when they say they don't sleep, what they're actually saying is that we're awake. You know, we don't sleep. You know, they shine like crystals because the mitochondria DNA in the DNA structure, it actually swells, and the water that's absorbed in through the membrane, the aquaporin 8, it crystallizes when it hits the mitochondria into a crystal gene, and that's why they sparkle. You know, there's a lot of clues in that film. They heavily feature planaria in the background, which is a worm that bioregenerates.
The powers that be will have us eating less. Don't forget they're even able to control the food supply.
Yeah.
So maybe
absolutely.
you'll get your wish. You'll be eating less.
Well,
I mean, there's been major food processing plants that have mysteriously caught fire within
has
1
there
month.
really?
Yeah.
What
There
was that
like
recently?
20, yeah, last year. 2023.
Oh yeah, I do recall that now. Actually, that's interesting.
There was about 24, 25 of them that mysteriously caught fire all around the same time.
And what sort of foods were they producing, Jim?
So that's all by design. It's all by design.
Yeah, what sort of what caught on fire? What foods?
Meat processing plants, all big food suppliers.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Mm.
Major food suppliers.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I'm going to have to Google.
Have you noticed all the prices going up for food recently?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Which means there's going to be a lot of people out there that aren't going to be able to afford to eat.
Yeah. Yeah, we're having that problem here.
It's all by design. So that's all happening right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I've noticed that when I've been to the supermarket recently, there's been a lot of shoplifting, and the store clerks going out running after them because some woman's just grabbed 8 packs of chicken or whatever and shoved them in her pants, and I'm like, the fuel crisis that we're in globally, that we're having to choose between food and heat and power for our home, and so you can't steal the gas and electric. So they're choosing to pay for the gas and electric and steal the food, and they drive the prices up. And it is a crisis. We're in absolute crisis. I've noticed that the junk food is actually so much cheaper to eat than the healthy food.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's all by design.
Vegan food's very expensive to buy.
What food's that, Bradley? Sorry, I didn't hear.
Vegan food.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's quite expensive.
Yes, it is. Yes. The price of eggs and things like that have all gone absolutely through the roof. Whereas this cheap food that's full of GMOs, which is what they want you to eat, is cheap as chips.
Midnight Rider says, for your information, there are over 100 processed food plants that have accidentally been destroyed within the last 2 years, just in the U.S. alone.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, processed food's not good for you anyway, so it's probably best that they're not there. But I don't mean that with any disrespect, but I will speak the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth. And maybe we ought to start looking as a people to start growing our own food again. We've become very lazy as a planet, of convenience. How many people actually come in from work and then prepare clean food every night? They can't be bothered. They spend less time with their families. And
yeah, you are totally interesting to listen to. I've got to be honest. Yeah, I like a lot of what you're sharing, actually. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. We're going to have be on to get the show again as well sometime, because we haven't reached the amount of viewers that we're meant to. For some reason, we haven't been. I didn't receive the timeline. I didn't receive the show on our timeline. I don't know why, so I couldn't share it. So we're definitely going to have you back again very soon.
Thank you. Yeah, that would be nice. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm probably a bit out there with my ideas, but this is the information that I've been asked to pass on, and I love that Jim throws curveballs in there, and because it helps me, because I'm going to get a lot of stick off the public with the information that I'm sharing, about disclosure, about what our DNA, our biological suit is actually really capable of, and it's so far out of the box that even those that are out of the box are thinking that I'm totally out of the box.
Yeah, great. Yeah.
It's easy to say grow your own food and all that stuff, but the way society is designed, that's not easy to do. You own a little yard, you've got city ordinances, you can't do this, you can't do that. It's all about control. There's too much control out there. So
yeah, and they've made it like that, haven't they? They've programmed it to be that way.
Yeah, it's all by design. It's easy to say, but hard to do.
Yeah, very. There are smaller things that we can do, but this is going to take time for humanity to adjust to living a different way, because as you said, by design, we've been programmed now to go to the supermarket and buy all these foods that, GMOs that are in the foods are like calcifying the Tesla coils that are in your sacral area and your solar plexus. And, just like when you have toothpaste or stuff like that, they say that the fluoride calcifies your pineal gland, and the GMOs in the foods that you're eating, which, lower our frequencies.
Yeah.
So that we can't tap into this etheric energy that is really free healing and free energy for the biological system, not just for the planet, but for us also.
If we are all born psychic, but we are all our foods and our water is contaminated and in chemtrails as well. But if we were psychic, we'd actually recognise what the government's actually up to, and the show no government, and we would know.
Yeah, you're psychic, aren't you, Bradley?
At random. I don't call myself psychic because it's not 24/7 like a psychic would be, but it is random. I have a psychic.
You see beyond the veil, though, don't you? You see that the malevolent discrepancies of these organisations that are supposed to be in place to help us.
Bradley,
Absolutely, yeah.
Bradley, Rambo's whining over here. You want to read off that comment for me while I mute my mic?
No problem.
Hello, Rambo.
It says, once you move beyond the frequency fence imposed on humanity, you have no more need for any more sort of supposition. When it comes to these negatives, they can no longer hassle you. Living a more spirit and less ego lifestyle is what's important. Your frequency levels are beyond theirs, and their effect on you is almost non-existent.
Hallelujah! Somebody that gets it. Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah, you have a shield around you that deflects negative frequencies, so that you become free from the matrix. Basically, it's like having no strings attached to the matrix. It's like you reside in an artificial construct almost, but your frequency is tapped into something from outside of the matrix, so that it just has no effects on you at all. Not at all.
Midnight Rider says the bottom line absolutely is about control, mates.
Yeah. Well, that's what they've been trying to do. But the more of us that tap into these frequencies, the higher the frequency you tap into, the less control they have. And there are more and more and more of us that are tapping into these frequencies, and the matrix is losing its control completely, which is why those images that you showed, thank you, at the beginning are frequency nets around the planet, so that the frequency match of source can be matched with planet Earth and everybody on it.
Yeah, it's Vic Makarov that actually posted that big comment. So yeah, Vic Makarov is very tuned in. Yeah, Vic Makarov posted that. Yeah, who actually is on the same page with you, River.
Yeah, thank you for posting that and for being awake. Hallelujah.
Yeah, and that's what it is all about, awakening humanity.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. If I could just go back to what Jim was saying about the possibility of the longevity, and that we do have the potential to live 100 years, 200 years, 300 years, 1,000 years, but how that affects the population, I'm going to sit with that and contemplate with source, if that's okay. And then maybe if we do another one, I will come back with that, because how is that sustainable if that was where we will still continue to breed the way that we are doing? So I would like to sit and ask source that question in my time and see what source comes back in, because I do think that's something that should be addressed.
Sure, do whatever research you want. We'll have you back on the show.
Thank you, darling. Thank you. Well, I'm really grateful that you've asked me to come on. I'm sorry that I'm maybe a little bit drabby. It is like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I was cleaning our motorhome out most of the day and cooking for my family, and chilling out, and so.
Yeah, we appreciate you being on it. I know it's really late for you.
Yeah. Well, normally I'm in bed cuddled up with my husband right now. Go on,
yeah,
sorry.
it's really late for Bradley there too.
Katrina Thomas said, can anyone tell me why I get high noises late at night when I turn off the light? I see weird barley swishing stuff in the darkness, and I lay and watch it there, and there was a time it scared me.
Oh, okay, right. The high noises, are they high pitched frequencies that you get in your ears? Because if they are, then that I would say that you are expanding your conscious awareness, and that you're picking up on the frequencies, these vibrational changes. You will hear them especially if you're more sensitive to frequency, you will start hearing them as high-pitched ringings, but you will also see images. You could start seeing orbs, shadows, swirls. I mean, I can recall that last year, it was the weekend of Download Festival, so it was June, just before this stuff happened, and the Sound of Silence was being played by Disturbed, and I had my eyes closed, and when I opened them, I can only describe that what I saw in the air everywhere was like golden particles, and I'm like, what the hell is this? I'm actually still not quite sure what it is. They look like Huon particles from Doctor Who, if anybody's seen that, but I could just see them everywhere. So when you are expanding your conscious awareness, you will be picking up different levels of consciousness, which are all harmonics and intelligence, and you'll see it or hear it in different variations and different forms. And it is quite scary. I've shit my pants, sorry for swearing, for the last 3 years, not knowing what's really going on. And suddenly I seem to have come to a place of alignment that, oh, it's okay. I'm just shifting. It's okay. It's quite normal now.
One day at a time. That's all we can do, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes even one day at a time sounds like too much. I have been working with other people that are going through these shifts, and I mean, to say it's scary is an understatement, because you go through what's called a cell death, which means those cells that were tampered with, those implants, when they start dropping off, you literally feel like you're dying, and it's a full-time job in your head just to manage that, trying to live a normal life. And so I would say take one breath at a time, because a day can seem like a lifetime when you're going through it, because especially if you're being fast tracked, and we are in a period where humanity is being fast tracked, it is scary. You know, you two have obviously been going through this for a long time. Some people haven't. Some people have been in that sleep status and they're just suddenly switching on the light bulb, and it is, yeah, it's not pleasant. It's worth it at the end, so stick with it.
We're at the end of the show now. We've got like 60 seconds to close the show.
Vic says, because you're still existing within the matrix, you need to go beyond the frequency fence by practicing on a daily basis a more spirit and less ego lifestyle, Katrina.
Yes, that's absolutely right. Yes, absolutely right.
Not next week, the week after, Phoenix.
Midnight Rider says, I have been experiencing the high-pitched frequencies from early adolescence.
Yes. So I would say that you absolutely have an extended awareness.
Right.
You're in your late 60s. Bless you.
Currently in his late 60s, yeah.
Oh, bless you, Midnight Rider. Bless you. Okay.
All right, time's up now.
All right. Love to you all. I hope to see you again in a fortnight then. Okay.
We're at the top of the hour, and Midnight Rider says, excellent discussion this evening. Much appreciated to you all. Thank you all for participating. And when are we going to be on next? When are we going to be on next, Bradley?
Today, Wednesday. Thursday.
Thursday, same time, 9 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's going to be with who's the guest? Gary W. White.
Yeah, W. White. That's correct, on Thursday.
All right. Okay, we'll have you on again.
Guys.
We'll have you on again, River. Thanks for coming on.
All right. All right.
See you later, everybody.
All right.
See you on the next
Bye. Bye.